You talked about the Weinberger Doctrine and only committing troops if it's in the national interest. I don't recall if you defined that, but let me give you a couple examples. One place where Clinton didn't intervene was in Rwanda.
Right.
So for humanitarian issues or to prevent genocide, would that be defined as in the national interest? And if it isn't, does it still make sense to do that if America is the last resort?
No. No, it doesn't. And this is where we have to show discipline. This is a thing I didn't understand, because we can't rid the world of all of its evils. In the 1990s, Bill Clinton decided to go into Bosnia and Kosovo because thousands of Europeans were being killed. At the same time, 2 million Sudanese were dying in a civil war. 1 million in Rwanda were dying. And the problem is, again, we can't send our troops anywhere. This is one of the everywhere. One of the arguments that we're hearing is we've got to stay in Afghanistan because of what will happen to the women in Afghanistan if we leave. It is a compelling moral argument. And I think it's made more compelling by the fact that we kept telling Afghanistan women, go to school. Your eyes won't be gouged out. Get an education, get a job. You won't have acid thrown on you. So I understand the concerns there. I've got to say, though, America did not go into Afghanistan because the Taliban was violating women's rights. If that was the case, we would have been in there 5, 6, 7 years earlier. We went in there because that's where al-Qaeda was, because al-Qaeda used Afghanistan as a shelter to attack America on September 11th. We didn't go in there to wipe out the Taliban. We went in there to wipe out al-Qaeda. And so there are some very, very difficult decisions that we have to make. But my feeling, and I've got to say my feeling has, I've grown, as they say when somebody becomes more liberal. Ed, you're going to like this. Back in 1995, I proudly, as an act of defiance, put a bill on the floor to get America out of the United Nations and to start a new international organization that actually only allowed democratic countries in. I have changed my mind on that front. You know how we were attacked for unilateralism during the Bush era? I think we actually need to start using the United Nations when we have international crises and people come to us and they say we're the last best hope on earth and we need to send our troops here and we need to send our troops there. I think if the humanitarian crisis is so overwhelming, we tell the United Nations, okay, you know what? We may do our share, but you're going to have to carry the burden of this humanitarian mission because we just can't do it anymore. We don't have the troops to do it. I mean, we don't even have the troops if we decided to stop Iran right now from building a nuclear weapon if they cross that red line, because talk to the generals at the Pentagon, they'll tell you the army spread thin in Iraq and in Afghanistan. We certainly don't have the troops needed, again, to cure all the world of all of its ills. So I think moving forward, we should leave humanitarian missions to the United Nations and Angelina Jolie. I think they'll do quite fine.